Welcome. I might have something that interests you. Hehe. A demo? I'll buy it at a high price. Actually, it's free and the demo, as expected, is now available on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series consoles and for PC through Steam. So I just completed the demo on PS4 Pro and PS5. So, like I promised, I'll compare those demos a little bit, but later. So, let's talk about the demo itself, what it was, and of course, most importantly, what I thought about it. Well, right from the start, you could easily tell that the focus is much more on horror and tension, much more than the original, which was more like a campy style of horror action. But this has much less campiness and it's much more serious and really focuses much more on tension. And it's a village section. Actually, it's I don't know if the game. I don't think it's the full game starts from the point where the demo starts, but it's from the it's quite close, from the beginning of the game. But yeah, and also it starts very differently. There's already on demo new areas. So that's a really good thing. Much more extra areas to explore. And while the demo was very short, only took me 20 minutes to complete, even with exploring pretty much everything on the demo. So in that sense, it was a little bit disappointing that it was so short, but it was short and fucking sweet. I mean, in a nutshell, I loved it as I expected. But yeah, the focus is much more on horror. As Capcom, I think they said something about that when Resident Evil 4 remake was originally announced, and they talk about it a little, that they would like to focus more on horror, that it will be much more horror focused than the original. But it really surprised me how much new areas there was on the demo even. So I'm really hopeful that the game will be, there will be loads and loads of new areas. And I kind of had the feeling that the game, like, I'm not saying this in negative aspect, that it feels like little bit, maybe not, but just a little bit like a reimagining of Resident Evil 4. Like the Resident Evil 3 remake was much more like reimagining of Resident Evil 3. Like, it's so different. I was so surprised. I wasn't expecting the demo to be so different, comparing to the original. But I'm really, I'm really happy that it was, because, yeah, like I said, like from the very first minutes of the demo, the focus was much more on horror, and it was much more serious. So I don't think the remake would have that much jokes and humor like the original had. Of course, I'm pretty sure there will be some funny moments, maybe not one-liners, that would be maybe too cheesy, but I hope that there still will be some humor, because that was a huge part of original Resident Evil 4. But yeah, so the demo starts from the, like a forest path that leads to the, that central village area. And the demo was called Chainsaw Demo, so that pretty much explains quite a lot. So it ends on the village central area where all the hell breaks loose, and every Ganados are after you, and then the Dr. Salvador appears and tries to chase you with his chainsaw, the legendary chainsaw guy, Dr. Salvador. And you just have to, in the demo, like on the original, you just have to survive. You don't really need to kill any enemies. You just have to survive for some amount of time. I think it's something like 5 minutes or something, and then the church bell rings and everyone goes to bingo, like Leon says. Everyone goes to the church to worship the fucked up occult. So yeah, very, very short demo, even shorter than was Resident Evil 8 Village demo, and that was pretty short already. So I was expecting there to be a little bit more action. I mean, there was some Canados to kill before the central area, the ending of the demo area. But I kind of understand, because they wanted to focus on horror and tension, so the demo starts very slowly, like building up the atmosphere and tension, and then at the end all hell breaks loose. So that was a kind of good balance. So it definitely started slower than the original Resident Evil 4, which I liked. It builds up much more tension before all hell breaks loose. And yeah, that's it. That's my opinion of the demo. And now let's go to a little bit about comparing the demos on PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 5. So first I played it on PlayStation 4 Pro, and you could see it really, really pushes the PS4 Pro's power to the limit. It doesn't struggle, but it looks phenomenal even on PS4 Pro. So I don't know how good it performs on base PS4. Maybe it could struggle on the base PS4. But on PS4 Pro, I chose, there was two options, graphical options, so you could choose, like on Resident Evil Village, performance mode that is like 1080p resolution with 60 frames per second frame rate, or you could choose like I did. I chose resolution mode, so I'm not sure if it's native 4K on PS4 Pro or a little bit sub 4K, but it's only 30 FPS if you choose resolution mode. I just wanted to, experience it, how it, plays with 30 FPS, because I knew that I would be playing. And of course, on PS5 there aren't, it's always 60 FPS frame rate, even if you choose resolution mode, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So yeah, it definitely looks brilliant on PS4 Pro, and the frame rate doesn't hiccup at all, even in the last area where there are so much enemies on screen and shit just happens all around. So of course I was expecting it to perform nicely, because after all I also played Village on PS4 Pro. I had the PS4 version, so that also performed very well on my PS4 Pro. And we all know that RE engine is very optimized. One of the, I think, greatest game engines, modern game engines nowadays. But yeah, very, very good last gen version. So those of you that still don't have PS5 and are, thinking that is it worth it to buy it on PS4, but like I said, I don't know how it performs on base PS4 if you only have that. But I could say if you have a PS4 Pro, then get it. Definitely you could get it. If you can't wait to get your hands on and buy PS5 when you can and when it's available to you. So definitely, if you are in a hurry and can't wait, pick up the PS4 version. It's great. Yeah, but now to the PS5 version of the demo. So of course, as expected, there are adaptive triggers supported, so I really like that. It just gives you a better immersion on games when they use adaptive triggers. It's a great feature on DualSense controllers. And also there's ray tracing, like there was, I think, in Resident Evil 8 Village PS5 version. It also supported ray tracing. And like on PS4 Pro, you can choose on PS5 resolution mode or frame rate mode. But of course it's different on PS5. So if you choose resolution mode, it's 4K, but it's still 60 FPS, of course, unlike on PS4 Pro when it's only 30 on resolution mode. But I think if you choose frame rate mode on PS5, it will be 1080p, but it's 120 hertz frame rate. So it for those TVs that support it, my 4K TV only supports 60 hertz. So I really can't get anything from, if I chose to play the frame rate mode. But those of you who have a TV that supports 120 hertz mode, I think the frame rate mode gives you that in sacrifice of resolution that it's only 1080p. But yeah, what else? Well, just speaking about graphics, of course you can tell the graphics quality, textures are of course better on PS5, but like I said before, it looks absolutely stunning on PS4 Pro. So the difference is not that obvious if you really compare the graphics on PS4 Pro and PS5. It's quite minimal actually, but of course the biggest difference is if you choose, if you decide to choose to play both with resolution mode. Of course it's 30 FPS on PS4 Pro and 60 on PS5, so that's the biggest difference, of course. But yeah, after all, in a nutshell, I can't wait to get my hands on the full game, and it's just only 2 weeks away now. Only 2 weeks to wait to get my hands on the full game, and I'm sure I will be playing a couple of more times the demo before the full game arrives. And also, and very interesting, I think, to me, a very interesting fact about the demo's file sizes were just that I've seen many times that actually the PS5 version's file sizes are sometimes much smaller than on PS4. So, for example, Alan Wake Remastered that I bought the cross-gen bundle, so I have it for PS4 Pro and PS5. On PS4 Pro, it's a hefty 60 gigs. So 60 gigabytes on PS4 Pro, but it's only 30 gigabytes on PS5. So it's double the size on PS4 Pro, which is quite interesting. And it's not the only game. There are many games that are smaller on PS5. So this was the opposite. The demo on PS4 Pro was only about 5.5 gigabytes, but on PS5 it was a little bit over 10 gigabytes, so it was double the size almost on PS5 this time. And yeah, talking about the file size, while we don't know exactly how big it will be, the full game file size on PS4 Pro or PS5, we know that I check it on my Xbox One. Of course, the game will not be available on Xbox One, but from the Xbox Marketplace you can see how big the file size is on Xbox Series consoles. And it's quite hefty, unfortunately, for those who are battling with storage space like me. It's almost 70 gigabytes. Ouch. So it's very big and much bigger than, for example, comparing to Resident Evil 8 Village that on PS5. Of course, after all the DLC, it was a little bit less than 40 euros. So, you know, after installing the Shadow of Rose and, you know, all the mercenary mode and shit like that. But initially, Village was only on PS5 about 30. I think it was a little bit less than 30 gigabytes. So now, at least the Xbox Series console versions are almost 70 gigabytes, and I expect the PS5 version would be about the same. And you know, this demo file size comparison between PS4 Pro and PS5 really tells you that it will be most likely a, you know, opposite from the example of Alan Wake Remastered, where it was double the size on PS4 Pro. I think this time the game will be much bigger on PS5 than PS4 Pro, but that remains to be seen. But yeah, I really need to free some space to be able to install Resident Evil 4 in 2 weeks. And yeah, so I just wanted to inform you, if you didn't know, that the game will be a much bigger this time. But of course it's quite, you know, expected, because after all Resident Evil 8 was shortish game, and definitely Resident Evil 4 Remake will be a much longer game. So longer game, bigger file size, of course, pretty basic stuff. But I still hope, of course there are cases that the game is a little bit smaller on PS5 than on Xbox Series consoles. But still, I guess it will be at least 50 gigabytes or even 60, or around the same as the Xbox Series. So yeah, I think it will be on PS5 somewhere between 50 and 70 gigabytes file size. Anyway, this is it. Gonna play today a couple of more rounds, the demo, and just taking it in and you know, exploring it even maybe more if it's possible. I think I explored pretty much everything in the demo already, but still it was very short, only took me 20 minutes. Anyway, that's it. Hope you liked my video and my thoughts and opinion about the demo. Yeah, it's going to be a fucking great game, and even though the original Resident Evil 4 is a fucking massive classic and many fans consider it you know, one of the best, if not the best, Resident Evil game on the series. I know there are many fans that think like that, and for me it's not my favorite. My favorite it is still, I think, the first Resident Evil remake. But anyway, not time for that now. But yeah, it will be awesome. The demo promises a lot, and like I said, the demo already offered so much new stuff, new rooms, new areas, that I think the full game will be there will be a lot of new areas, new enemies, maybe even. But that remains to be seen. Anyway, now enough chit chat. So I'll see you in another video, whatever it is. And yeah, I'm pretty sure once I complete Resident Evil 4 remake, I'm pretty sure I will be reviewing the PS5 version, but that will be much further down the line, maybe spring time, like I guess something like April, May, about that time frame I will be reviewing. But I'm pretty sure I will be reviewing Resident Evil 4 remake in the future. Anyway, now I'll just shut up and yeah, I'll just shut up and see you in another video. I want to, end this with some Resident Evil 4 reference. But right now I just can't think of anything. But of course I started my video with RE4 reference. Anyway, I'll shut up now. See you in some other video next. Bye.